Good afternoon. Welcome to the July 7th Public Services Committee. We'll call the meeting to order. We have a few housekeeping items before we start. I would ask public and staff to turn off your cell phones or mute them during the meeting. When making public comment, clearly identify yourself for the record. To make a public comment online, please use the raised hand function. If you want to make a comment in person, please approach the podium. Make sure the green light is on and identify yourself. No additional business will be discussed that is not on the agenda today. With that, could we have the first item, please?
Number 11, ordinance third reading, annexing to the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, a portion of land generally located east of South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road.
And could we have a staff report? Brandon? Welcome.
Chair, members of the committee, Brandon Gilchrist, Planning Development Department. This is for a piece of land that will be annexing into Bison Business Park expansion. There's been no further updates, but I stand for any questions.
Questions from the committee? Dr. Aldrich.
Chairman Seagrave, I was just curious if we've had any contact from any one who's been sent a letter or any neighboring properties.
Chair, through you, not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilman White, any questions?
No, sir.
All right. How about from the audience, public comment? Brad?
Chairman, council members, Brad Emmons, AVI agent for the applicant. The parcel is completely surrounded by the existing landowner and the state of Wyoming, so probably not. But I wanted to give an update that this is going to be heard tonight at Planning Commission to be rezoned to BP. So just kind of an update that we are moving forward. We needed to get enough acreage to get over the 320 equivalent for BP zoning. So the reason that zoning dragged a little bit behind the annexing, but should be coming forward in the following months with that zoning for it as well.
Great. Any questions from the committee? Questions? Hearing none. Anyone else in the audience or online would like to make a comment? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
To approve on third and final reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Aldrich, second by Dr. Emmons. Discussion from the committee. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Recommendation for Monday night will be to approve on third and final reading. Next item, please.
Number 12, ordinance third reading, amending the official zoning map of the city of Cheyenne to assign a zoning classification of AG agricultural to a parcel of land annexed to the city generally located east of South Greeley Highway and north of Chalk Bluff Road.
Staff report? Brandon?
Chair, Brandon Gilchrist, Planning Development Department. This item follows the previous item. Whenever we annex, we have to give it a city zoning that is complementary to the county zoning. And so the zoning is agriculture, and I stand for any questions.
Any questions? Dr. Aldrich?
Chairman Seagrave, through you, just so that people who may be listening or watching this afternoon understand that this is what I believe Mr. Emmons was just talking about, that this will be coming back before us later with asking for a designation of BP for Business Park.
Chair, through you, that is correct.
Dr. Emmons? No. Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Comments from the public, either online or in the room? Comments? Hearing none, could we have a motion,
I
please?
would move to approve on third and final reading.
Moved by Dr. Aldrich, second by Dr. Emmons. Discussion from the committee. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Recommendation for Monday night will be to approve on third and final reading. Next item, please.
Number 13, ordinance third reading, amending section 10.04.050, obedience required of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, to clarify the default offense level for violations of Title 10 of the municipal code.
And a staff report, please. Counselor.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, John Brody, City Attorney.
Yes.
Again, this provision or proposal, I guess, is just to clarify a fact that our traffic code is both misdemeanors and civil penalties. And that provision, as it's currently drafted, implies that everything is criminal. So this just clears up that potential ambiguity. It's purely housekeeping.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Questions? Hearing none. How about from the public? Public in the room or online? Anyone? Hearing none. Could we have a motion,
I would
please?
move to approve on third and final reading.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Aldrich, second by Councilman White. Discussion from committee? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Recommendation for Monday night will be to approve on third and final reading. Next item, please.
Number 14, ordinance third reading, amending section 6.08.180, feeding geese and ducks prohibited of chapter 6.08, animal care and control regulations generally of Title VI, animals of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, to include seagulls and extend the feeding prohibition to all property within the city limits.
And staff report, please. Dr. Aldrich, you gonna do it?
I will, Chairman Seagrave. This is on our third and final reading, and there have been no changes made to this proposed ordinance. Change that since it's been before the council and committee last time. And this hopefully will resolve an issue that we're experiencing in Ward 3 with the feeding of seagulls that have created a health hazard.
Questions for staff or questions for Dr. Aldrich? Hearing none. How about from the public? Anyone in the public would like to comment on this? Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Mark Moody, Cheyenne City Council, Ward 3. Just so everybody also is aware in the public, on page 2, so we're looking on page 2, number B, it says any person who violates this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by a fine of not less than $10 and not more than $25. I actually had a contact from a constituent there off of Henderson on Saturday and is asking if the fines can be upped because he's saying that $10 and $25 may not be enough deterrent. He suggested 400. I then decided compromise may go down a little bit. So maybe not less than $100 and maybe not more than $250 if we could potentially have an amendment there. So instead of $10, it would read $100 and not more than $250. So, and I did speak with our city attorney. He said we are allowed to amend it to increase fines.
Thank you.
And I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Councilman Moody? Questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else in the public that would like to make a comment, either in the room or online? Comments? Hearing none, could we have a motion, please?
I would move to approve on third and final reading.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to amend.
Okay, you want to discuss your amendment?
Sure. While I understand the emotional energy behind a $250 and a $400 fine, I think that though that is a little difficult and excessive. So I would be willing to amend item B on page 2 of 2 to not less than $100 and not more than $200.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman White. Discussion on the proposed amendment. Any, Mr. Brody?
Mr. Chairman, John Brody, City Attorney, certainly a policy call, but as you're well aware, sort of the standard approach that the city has taken when it comes to these ordinances and prohibiting behavior has been in large part to tie that to the general penalty, which would give the court the discretion to set the bond amount, which is just to secure their attendance at the hearing, which could be more than, I mean, it could be $300 for attendance. And then it would also allow the court additional flexibility should somebody have an inability to pay, should they be not from town, or should it be really egregious. The court could then, go all the way up to that $750 ceiling, but just wanted to offer that for your consideration.
Questions for Mr. Brody?
I do have a question. So Chairman Seagrave, through you. So Mr. Brody, are you suggesting that we set a minimum and not set a maximum in that amendment?
Well, so Mr. Chairman, Dr. Aldrich, I that's really the policy call for you. I would say setting a minimum is not traditionally how the city code has been constructed. So that would be an outlier in that sense, but that's not to say that that's improper or the wrong approach. I'm just maybe advocating for the standard approach that you do with the, the majority of ordinances you have. And the general penalty would apply if no specific penalty is provided.
Follow up.
Dr. Aldrich.
Chairman Seagrave, through you, I believe that the concern is that $10 is not a deterrent. And so I think that the residents who are experiencing this impact of this feeding are wanting to make sure that it's painful enough to deter behavior.
Mr. Chairman, I certainly can appreciate that. I think if you put a minimum on there, that's absolutely appropriate. But maybe not a maximum, because then that takes away the discretion of the court to really, go after those bad actors if the case were in front of him or her.
Dr. Emmons?
Mr. Chairman, through you. So what you're saying is we can give the latitude to the judge to make a decision rather than us setting the standard.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you can set a minimum and not set a maximum and give the court more flexibility when it comes to, those more severe circumstances.
So
You can set a ceiling and a floor to further limit the ability of the court, or you can take away the minimum and the ceiling and give the court full discretion on how to impose a penalty.
Dr. Aldrich.
Chairman Seagrave, through you. Does that, when we leave it to the court, if we were to remove the ceiling and the floor, does that then create an issue for compliance or for issuing of a citation? Or would they only simply receive a citation to appear in court and then the judge would figure it out?
Mr. Chairman, so I don't see any problem with compliance enforcing this provision.
Yep.
The way that it would go forward is that once this was adopted by the council and promulgated with the court that would then amend their bond schedule. And in the court's discretion, they would set what that bond amount is on the citation that would be issued to secure the appearance of the defendant. So I can only speculate what that would be. It'd probably be around $100 or more. And then the defendant would have the option to simply just forego coming to court and would forfeit that $100. A lot of folks come to court to not have to pay the increased bond amount and to plead their case to the court to have a lower penalty. So that whole process can operate forward. Should the council decide to set that minimum amount, that doesn't interfere with it. It would just be the court would have to impose that $100, whatever it were, should a guilty party come before them.
Councilman Seagrave,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people have the option to just pay the fine rather than to tie up our court system.
Ye-
So,
Mr. Chairman, yeah, unless you specifically stated it was a must appear citation, then they would have that ability. The only thing I would say is, and I should have said this earlier, but if you decide to just impose the general penalty, this would then be a jailable offense.
oh. That seems a little extreme too. Okay.
And again, it's maybe going too far down the rabbit hole here, but when it's a jailable offense, that's a jury trial, and that's a public defender.
Further questions for staff? Councilman White, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Rennie. Public input, please, on the amendment.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Rennie, 2101 O'Neill. Kind of following up what Attorney Brody said, I guess my question was, I don't ever remember when we've written an ordinance like this being where the governing body's been prescriptive on the fines. So my question then is, I understand the point, but kind of what Attorney Brody was saying, why not just delete section B? Just say, yes, it is a misdemeanor, and then let the judge go with the normal misdemeanor fines, which is up to the maximum of $750 per instance. Although it does then mean it could be up to 6 months in jail. I don't know that we would ever have one that egregious that the judge would want to use that provision, but who knows, it may be necessary. So So I guess my questions to the proposers are, why be prescriptive in this case when we've never done it before? And why not just delete section B, paragraph B, and just say it's a misdemeanor and go with the standard misdemeanor fines?
Thank you. Dr. Emmons,
Mr. Chairman, through your,
Dr. Rennie?
Dr. Rennie. So, what you're saying is that on B, it would say any person who violates this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by a fine, period.
Actually, and again, Attorney Brody could address this, but if you said punishable by a fine, that may take out the jailable offense portion, which I saw a couple of you wince when that was mentioned.
Follow up.
Dr. Emmons?
So if we said shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, period.
Then again, I'm not your attorney, but then my perception is that the standard misdemeanor fines would apply at that point, which would be said by the judge.
Thank you. And Mr. Brody is going
Sorry,
to have a follow-up for us.
What's that?
You have a follow-up for us.
Yeah,
Can you
sorry,
help us with some language?
Just trying to offer a general comment, and I think it got a little more complicated. Yeah, so the way I would request that you approach this issue is if you want it to be just a fine and you want that fine to be consistent with the fine provision of the general penalty, then you would just say that it's a misdemeanor punishable by a fine of not more than $750, period. And that'd be the end of it. It would be absolutely clear it's not a jailable offense, but it would also be clear that the court has the maximum discretion to impose a fine given the circumstances.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Dr.
So I just
Aldrich?
want to, I'm going to read this back to you to make sure that I have it. Any person who, and B, any person who violates this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable of a fine of not more than $750.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we have a proposed amendment on the floor, which I believe states a minimum of $100 and not more than $200. That's what we need to discuss now. Further discussion from the public? Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Captain David James, I just wanted to give you guys a little more information on the fines and the way they're set, since I had the bond schedule up anyway.
Sure.
This is what we're provided. And when I look under municipal criminal ordinances, the lowest bond amount for a citation is $150. So even though they have the leeway to go from $0 to $750, the lowest is $150. And when you look through some of these like loitering's $200, littering is $200, open containers, $150. You know, so it's just so you know, that's kind of the range. You know, a few of them hit 500, but that's when you're looking at some pretty serious ones. But yeah, most of them is at that $150 to $200 range for that ticket.
Okay, very good. Further discussion from the public? Discussion, hearing none. Discussion from committee.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Aldrich.
Of our education from our city attorney and Captain James, I would encourage my colleagues to vote no on the proposed amendment so that, and then I will plan to come back with another amendment directly following that to change the wording to what was suggested by City Attorney Brody.
Okay, just for comments, anyone? Anyone? Hearing none, we're going to take a vote on the proposed amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. And those opposed,
No.
Oh,
No,
the proposed amendment is defeated. Any other proposed
Yes,
amendments?
Chairman
Dr. Aldrich.
Seagrave, I would like to make an amendment to have B on page 2 of 2 read that any person who violates this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and punishable by a fine of not more than $750.
Yeah, and there's
second.
Second by Dr. Emmons. Discussion from the public on the new proposed amendment. The language? Discussion? Anyone online, Jennifer? No? No one online? No one in the audience? All right, discussion from committee. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed? The proposed amendment or the amendment is approved. We're back to the main motion. Discussion on the main motion as amended. Discussion? Discussion? Hearing none. All, oh, Jennifer. Oh, Jeff, or I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Councilman White.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just want to make a comment. Normally, I'm not in favor of such ordinances, but I do know And it has been made clear to us over the course of this particular item that my colleague from Ward 3 and Mr. Moody have exhausted every other opportunity short of this to try to mitigate this situation. And I think Dr. Emmons also made some information at our last committee meeting that this is also a very egregious health concern. And so that's why I'm supporting it. I know my colleagues made all other efforts to try and resolve this short of passing legislation and were unsuccessful. So I appreciate their efforts and I'm sorry that it came to this.
Thank you. Further comments from the committee? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the recommendation for Monday night will be to approve on third and final reading. Next item, please.
Number 15, ordinance second reading, amending and repealing multiple sections of chapter 9.24 weapons of Title IX Public Peace and Welfare of the Municipal Code of the City of Cheyenne, Wyoming, relating to the sale, transport, discharge, possession, and regulation of firearms to better conform to state statute and avoid duplication with federal law.
And a staff report, please. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Mark Moody, Cheyenne City Council, Ward 3. So we have in front of us just making it to conform with state law. And I'll just go through the pages, just the major changes. There's not many. And also to everybody viewing this recording. So if you look at page 103, it says exceptions there. If you notice, it says the chapter shall now apply to duly appointed officers of the city, county, or state, or of which the United States in the lawful discharge their duties, such officers, nor to transactions in which delivery is made. I changed that to firearm by mail or other carrier, because again, you are allowed to have them shipped across state lines, okay, really to any state, including Wyoming, as long as the dealer has an FFL license. Okay, that is the law. Most and all of them do require that. And then we look at the second change, look where it says 9.24.030. In A, that's where the change is, says no person shall discharge within the city any firearm unless such discharge occurs within the confines of indoor range. I add in there or in self-defense pursuant to Wyoming statute section 6-2-602. That's our stand your ground law. Okay, because you are allowed to use deadly force, feel threatened. We are one of those 30 states that allow that. And then we look at page 2. Okay, if this is probably the biggest change of them all. It says 9.2.4.090 carrying deadly weapons on school property. I did work with our city attorneys. If you look at B, we just, for deadly weapon, we did not include firearm because with passage of House Bill 172, you are allowed to carry with a permit. Okay, and they just set that to school board. So we can't say no. And again, that'd be violation of Wyoming state law. And then D just got completely removed because you can keep them in your vehicle anyway. Okay, and then also for D, then again, that's just changing E to D, and then F again, that's just getting rid of it because again, okay, you are allowed to carry now within the schools. And again, they have defined that, okay, in their codes and at the school board, so we're good there. And then if we look at the number bottom there, page 2, it's 9.24.0070. It says sale or possession of firearms. I did add the words in there with manufacturer's identification mark or serial number removed. Now, that does differ the original from that because, again, titles do have meanings, words have meanings. In Wyoming, legally, you can manufacture or get a kit and build a firearm in your garage, do a 3D printer. Okay, that is allowed under Wyoming law. Okay, some states like California, New Jersey, it's illegal, but it's not illegal in our state. That's just to make sure that if you don't have it, you're not going to get in trouble. Now, if you take like acid or you file off the serial number, that is against Wyoming law. It's also against federal law. So again, okay, that is Wyoming law. If you do that, you know, you are guilty of a criminally. And then finally, the very last one on page 3, very top, records to be kept. Okay, it's 9.24.120. There was statute saying they required people to keep sale of their firearms. Wyoming law does not require that. It also violates the Second Amendment Protection Act passed by Senator Hicks in 2022. So we cannot have that. And also we can't make laws that are stricter than state law. And also if you're an FFL dealer, you have to keep records anyway. That's federal law. Okay. So really it's just cleaning it up, making sure that we're following state law, federal law. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Councilman Moody? Dr. Emmons?
Mr. Chairman, through you. On 9.24.020,
Yes, ma'am.
no, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. On page 2B, 9.24.090.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain to me again why firearm is not considered a deadly weapon?
Our attorney can explain that.
Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, David Hopkinson, Deputy City Attorney. Through you, Dr. Emmons, the reason for that change, because we add the language there at the bottom of B, deadly weapon shall not include a firearm. And the purpose for kind of drafting it that way was simply to continue having all the other potential deadly weapons that definition applies to still be applicable. So it's just intended to take firearms out of that particular section while maintaining everything else. And that's the reason it's drafted the way it is.
Mr. Chairman, through
Dr.
you.
Emmons.
So what you're saying is a firearm is not a deadly weapon?
Mr. Chair, through you, for purposes of this particular subsection and that section only, that it would not be, a firearm would not be considered
Okay.
a deadly weapon.
So I find that incredibly offensive, first of all. Second of all, I'm confused as to, and I get that this is in city code now, but why are we mandating or describing how the schools will deal with firearms rather than, I mean, why would we not just be saying that we will comply with the school district's rules?
Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, that I think is more of a political question, and I would defer to any of the counselors who want to answer that, but.
Okay, and well, so
Come to you.
there's that. And then on 9.24.070, it seems to me that the change you made in the wording does nothing to change the content of what it already said. It says the very same thing. The intent is the very same thing without amending it. So I'm confused as to why you would basically mess with what we already had to say, the very same thing that you said before.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Thank you, Councilman Evans, for that question. So the reason for that change is because let's say that they get a kit from Gun Show or local dealer here. They go into their garage, they build a handgun 9mm that is legal under Wyoming law. Let's say, they got pulled over or something and they had to show their firearm. Potentially, the way it's read there, they could be, potentially arrested saying, oh, they removed it. Even though Wyoming law states you are allowed to manufacture your own firearms. And also they say you can't remove existing ones. So again, like in my garage, I can't just, stamp a serial number on there. That's done through the large firearm manufacturers.
Mr. Chairman,
Dr.
through you,
Evans.
I get that, but what was already in there is exactly what you changed it to be.
Mr. Chairman, through you, Dr. Emmons, again, it's just to make sure that we apply that, just clean up the language. That's all it is, because words have meaning.
And then I have
Dr. Emmons.
one last question. On page 3, so you said that Wyoming law doesn't say we can't keep records. Is that correct?
Correct. The Second Amendment Protection Act, and also two, Wyoming law does not stipulate we're required to do it, and we are not allowed to make laws that are stricter than state law.
But if the law, sorry,
Dr.
through you,
Evans.
but if the law doesn't say we can't do it, then saying we can do it would not make it more restrictive because it's permissive.
Mr. Moody?
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Dr. Ernst, for that question. True, but again, this would violate the Second Amendment Protection Act because we're going above and beyond state law. Okay, that was passed by Senator Hicks with Senate File 102 back in 2022. Plus, again, okay, we're one of the states that does not require it. And again, a federal firearms dealer has to keep record. Okay, if they, for instance, Lincoln Way, they have to keep records for the federal government.
One last
Dr.
question.
Evans.
So this whole ordinance has nothing to do with concealed carry in a government building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Aldrich?
Chairman Seagrave, through you. So I want to just address the number 9.24.090B. My understanding, I'm sorry, D. Is that the right one? Is that the school one? Oh, on school property. Thank you. 9.24.090. My understanding is from my time in the district that it was necessary for the city, and Captain James may be able to weigh in on this, for the city to have something in ordinance regarding carrying on school property, because our school resource officers actually ticket students who are in violation of these at times if they appear on school property with, for instance, a deadly weapon or an incendiary device, or knives, or another one that I've seen written up for an expulsion is done on some of these. So whether it's on the bus or at the school. So is it necessary for us to address this in city code for that reason? That was my understanding of why it's in city code.
Captain James?
Mr. Chairman, Captain David James, through you. In my time as a school resource officer, we did write a lot of tickets for knives, which was a pretty common thing. Especially if they brought them, with ill intent. Guns, those were always turned over to the state court. And even the knives, they still end up going through the juvenile diversion process. I don't know what the state statute says as far as other weapons in schools, but this typically municipal's the lowest level to handle things if you're going to go above the school administrative thing. So it is not a bad thing to still have it in there pertaining to knives or bombs or incendiary devices. Then if they have something and we want to handle it lower than state level, we have an option to.
And then Chairman Seagrave, through you, the 9.24.070, I had a lot of conversation with Councilman Moody about this, because I am not in favor of ever having people be able to sell, possess, receive, lease, or transfer a firearm where the serial number has been removed. But he is correct that we have a lot of 3D printing going on right now. We have a gunsmithing program at Eastern Wyoming Community College in Douglas, where they have an entire program of study where they're teaching future gunsmiths to create firearms, which is, whether we like it or not, is big business in Wyoming and big business across the country. So I think that it's important that we make sure that any firearms that are being sold have the manufacturer's identification mark, and that we're not we have something that restricts people from intentionally removing that manufacturer's mark. So for that reason, I had agreed to co-sponsor this to clean up our current city ordinance. And because I also believe that we need to, each session of our legislative session, we need to be going through our city ordinances and making sure that we are not exceeding what is required by state statute.
Thank you. Further questions for staff? Questions? Thank you. Hearing none, comments from the public, either in person or online. Jennifer?
Mayor Collins, you can go ahead if you'd like.
Mayor Collins? Mayor Collins. Are you on mute, sir?
I hope I am now.
Oh. We had you for a second.
You have me now?
Can just barely hear you.
All right, let me try again. Can you hear me now?
That's better. Thank you.
I'm looking at section 9.24.090. And it says, a deadly weapon shall not include a firearm. But what about when people come onto a school property and they are not in compliance with the new state law that you have to have a permit? Let's say you're constitutional carry, but you're required to have a concealed weapons permit. And we've said that that's not a deadly weapon. I guess I'm just concerned about the message it sends when we say that that is not a deadly weapon. It's not a deadly weapon if it's licensed by the state and carried on to a school in compliance with state statute. But what about all the other instances where it's not? Would it not still then be a deadly weapon?
I'm not sure who to ask that.
I'm not sure it was a question, more of a statement.
Okay, Mr. Brody's thinking about coming up and talking to us. Come on up, sir. Okay. Okay. Counselor?
John Brody, City Attorney, Mr. Chairman. I think the mayor makes a good point. That could certainly be an amendment to kind of clarify that distinction. You know, as attorneys, what we try to do when we go through the city code is to kind of leave it as undisturbed as we can and still effectuate the intent of the drafter. But I think Mayor Collins raises a good point, and my office can work with the sponsors to see if there's a way of crafting an amendment to address that.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Aldrich.
Councilman Seagrave, through you, isn't it, I guess, when I read this, where it says deadly weapon defined for purposes of this section, deadly weapon means, but is not limited to explosive or incendiary material or any other device, which could be a firearm, instrument, material, or substance, which in the manner it is used or intended to be used is reasonably capable of producing death or serious bodily injury. When I read that that could be a firearm if it's used with that intent. And any of these things could be. So maybe what we need to do is, I guess, do we need to define what a deadly weapon is? I mean, so that's my question.
Mr. Chairman, subsection B is defining what a deadly weapon is. And I know it's a disjointed sort of logic built into this because of the fix that we're trying to put into place, right? Obviously, a firearm is a deadly weapon in the general construct. As a technical matter and in enforcing and interpreting this particular code section, we've made that technical change that deadly weapon will not include a firearm for the purposes of this particular code section. Now, the reason we put deadly weapon shall not include a firearm is to address that very issue that Dr. Aldrich raised, which is that sort of very broad definition of what a deadly weapon can include. So we specifically noted that it does not include a firearm for the purposes of this part of the code.
Dr. Emmons.
Mr. Chairman, through you. So I'm trying to be calm here. I'm not doing a very good job of it right now. Firearm is a deadly weapon, period. There's no way around it. I mean, come on. So and I realize that part of the problem here is that in state statute, the state statute does not define deadly weapon. And that's the crux of the issue here. As I understand it from speaking with other lawyers. But we could say that absolutely a firearm is an incendiary or an explosive weapon. If fired, it's explosive, it's incendiary. And I'm okay with that as long as we take that last sentence out that says that it shall not include a firearm. But by putting that in there, I think we are opening ourselves up to all kinds of potential readings of this that somebody can take and use in a way not intended. I think there's incredible unintended consequences by saying this. I'm okay with saying, considering it as an explosive or incendiary material, but we cannot say a firearm is not a deadly weapon.
Dr. Aldrich.
Councilman Seagrave, I guess one of my concerns with having a firearm listed, which it was in the second line, and I would be amenable to removing the deadly weapon shall not include a firearm, but I would like to not have firearm listed in that list of explosive or incendiary materials or any other device, instrument, material, or substance. Having been a teacher who taught outdoor living and taught hunter safety, we did take students out to the range and we did fire firearms and rifles, and hunter safety requires live fire. And so it would impact the curriculum that's actually offered in outdoor living or in hunter safety, which is sometimes offered through PE courses in our local school district. So I would be amenable to the deadly weapon shall not include a firearm being removed from that last line on B, but I do not want a firearm listed as a deadly weapon defined specifically as a firearm, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Mr. Chairman, I believe so. I guess what I can say is that, you know, your city attorney's office is willing to work with the sponsors to, I guess, work on the language to better recognize House Bill 174 and the issues it's created with it when it comes to the city's regulation of firearms, to avoid that sort of, I guess, negative implication that can be taken from subsection B as it's currently drafted.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Dr. Emmons.
I would like to say that D addresses Councilman Aldrich's concerns. Because I totally understand that. I understand exactly the argument you're making about that, but D completely talks about courses of study, which would include, and we say right there, such as deadly, with uses of such deadly weapon. And just for the body's information, the Laramie County Community College's proposed rules around this have language very similar to D. So that, yes, so that any kind of deadly weapon, whether it be, I don't know, some kind of karate stars or bow and arrow or whatever, can still be taught and be applied, you know, be used. But as long as it's in the purpose of teaching courses.
Okay.
One more item. Councilman Seagrave.
Dr. Aldrich.
I just one more item. If you're going to be working on this, Mr. Brody, it just seems odd that we remove deadly fire or deadly weapon up on B, but we leave it in D. So and for consistency, whatever we decide to do, I think B and D should be consistent. Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you. Thank you. Further public comment. Jennifer?
Mayor Collins, if you'd like to go again, you can.
Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm wondering if maybe the language would leave the word firearm in section B, but put a in parentheses or whatever, except as defined in House Bill 174. And then that would say that a firearm is a deadly weapon not to be brought on school property, except for that narrowly defined definition in House Bill 174.
That's proposed language that the sponsors can talk about. Further public comment. Further public comment. Hearing none, could we have a motion, please?
I would move to approve on second reading.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman White. Discussion from the committee. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman White.
just through you, I'm going to support this today. I do look forward to an amendment clarifying some of the things that were just discussed as I share that last sentence in 9.24.090, section B. I share my colleagues' concerns about that sentence. So I will support today. I do hope an amendment will be coming forward to work on some other solutions. That's all.
Thank you. Further discussion, Dr. Emmons?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I will not be supporting this until I see clarified, cleaned up language. So I will be a no on this today.
Thank you. Dr. Aldrich?
No, okay.
No comment. Further discussion from committee? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed?
No,
Dr. Emmons is a no. The recommendation for Monday night will be to approve on second reading. Next item, please.
Number 19, resolution directing that plans for the 15th Street Corridor Revitalization Project preserve the Cheyenne Gunslingers' current location, layout, buildings, and landscaping at West 15th Street and Pioneer Avenue.
The staff report, please. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Seem to be up here a lot today. For this resolution, it's very simple. You look at the won't read through it fully, but pretty much it's saying we'll keep the gunslingers at the current location on 15th Street. Okay, they've been there for quite a while, and that also they'll maintain their current buildings. Okay, because the new plan has it to where the buildings will be on either side, not again facing the you look at the railroad and again, they're facing this way. And then also saying how they're important, not just during Frontier Days, and not just say, during the summer months, but also even during the Christmas season, because a lot of people do like take pictures there as well. And people from around the world visit the gunslingers. So it's really just saying that we want to make sure the gunslingers have the current location. There's been a lot of support by the I know my constituents with this, and I know that they are here to testify as well. I'll be happy to take questions, I know, before they give their public comment.
Questions from the committee for the sponsor. Dr. Emmons.
Mr. Chairman, through you. So with the way that I read the resolution, that this would be in perpetuity. There's no sunset. There's no, we can never change this.
Is that correct, Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Thank you, Councilman Emmons. Yes, until we bring up another resolution by the city council, we say we now support moving them.
Thank you.
Further questions for the sponsor? Councilman White?
no questions.
Okay. Further questions from the committee? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the room or online that would like to make a public comment? I'm sorry. Okay.
That made that dream possible. Two icons that visitors and residents alike look upon in awe and wonder, icons of stone and mortar, wood and steel, symbols of a bygone era for sure, but they represent more than that. They represent a spirit, a culture that is truly American, the Old West. Time slows down in Cheyenne. Its people are friendly and helpful. They care about their neighbors, the merchants downtown, down the street, and the stranger, wow, I can't even talk all of a sudden. Jeez. And the stranger asking for directions. The culture in Wyoming is one of stewardship, of caring for the land, the water, and the air, caring for our history and preserving it for future generations. But mostly it's the feeling people get when they come here, the feeling that they've stepped back into a simpler time, one where they can smell the fresh air, enjoy the laid back pace, and actually live in the moment. I believe the Cheyenne Gunslingers enhance that culture by showing people that they can enjoy and participate in our Western heritage, and that it still lives in the way we treat others and the legacy left behind by those who came before us. I also believe that location is important. For people to come watch our shows and then walk a short distance to the heart of downtown is a priceless experience. There's no opportunity for that feeling of the Old West to wear off before enjoying the treats our local merchants have in store for them. In closing, I'd like to say that the formula that the Cheyenne Gunslingers use to entertain the citizens of and visitors to our city has worked well for more than 40 years and attracts people from all over the world. To ask us to change that formula for the sake of a static railroad car display seems foolish to me. We all also supply the added benefit of not costing the city anything to operate because we are all volunteers, solicit sponsors and sell souvenirs for funds, and maintain the buildings at Gunslinger Square ourselves. It is my hope that the council elects to support the Cheyenne Gunslingers just as they are and to spend the citizens' money more effectively somewhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Further
you.
public comment? Yes, sir.
Hello, Brian Bow, 1506 Capitol Avenue. First and foremost, I am a supporter, a financial supporter of the Gunslingers. I really appreciate the work that they do and the show they put on for our residents and for tourists alike. I would encourage, however, a no vote on this resolution because I believe that the whole 15th Street project has taken a lot of working together and figuring out solutions. And I'd like to hope that we could keep in mind that there could be an even better outcome for the Gunslingers in the future with the improvements along 15th Street, and that we wouldn't be pigeonholed by what exists today, but by what we could create tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Further public comment? Further public comment? Any online, Jennifer? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
To approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second? Hearing none, the resolution dies for lack of a second. That is the end of our,
Will be no recommendation.
there will be no recommendation. That is the end of our agenda for today. Thank you very much.